I don't find it to be true that you're making a lot more money on short-term rental. I really like the midterm model because it's a little bit more than long-term rent and a little bit lower than short-term, but because of the hassle involved, to me, it's worth it.
This is why the pros don't rely on Airbnb alone. If you're still only using Airbnb or VRBO without any software connected, you are putting your entire business at risk, especially if you're hosting extended stays, because at that point, you're not just offering vacation rentals anymore. You could be creating tenancy issues without even knowing it. And if you're not collecting signatures on your innkeeper agreement, you are wide open. That's why I use API connected software like Journey. It automates everything from messaging and calendar sync to the check-in process, deposits, and yes, even getting that innkeeper agreement signed automatically before every guest arrives. My cleaners get scheduled without me lifting a finger. Guests check in, pay, sign, and get support, all without me being glued to my phone. Use my link below to get your free demo appointment with Journey. And if you use my link, you'll get access to a special insider program with no onboarding fees, no property listing minimums, just simple automation that protects your business and saves your sanity. Go pro, go automated. Click the link and schedule your demo now. Are you tired of the Airbnb grind? You are not alone. So welcome to the Midterm Rental Movement, the podcast that showcases real hosts building real wealth 1 month at a time. I'm your host, Vivian Yip, a real estate investor and founder of Crew Homes and the Hestia certification. Each episode features interviews with short and midterm rental hosts who've broken free from weekend bookings and midnight messages and found freedom with furnished rentals that last 30 days and more. Before we move on, hit that subscribe button. And if you're interested in taking your furnished rentals to the corporations that use them, create your free listing at crewhomes.com. That's CRUhomes.com. Be sure to check out the FAQ page at the bottom of the website too. On this show, we showcase first-time flippers and seasoned MTR pros and all things real estate. We will dive into how they got started, where they invest, what systems make their business hum, how they earn more by doing less. Whether you're a short-term rental host looking to pivot or a real estate investor searching for passive income, you'll get actionable insights, honest stories, and behind-the-scenes strategies. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Sharon Pace, a seasoned real estate investor out of League City, Texas. I'm so excited to speak with her because she is an absolute powerhouse. Welcome to the show, Sharon. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for having me, Vivian. A little bit about me is I am a real estate investor in the Galveston area. I own some short-term rentals and midterm rentals, and I'm actually now co-hosting in that same area. I live about 30 minutes north of Galveston, but I also still work full-time in corporate. So eventually hope to retire and do real estate full-time. I did start out flipping houses with my husband a few years ago. I'm in 2020, and then we ended up holding for short-term rentals shortly after that. And there's a
So
lot more
when
to
did
that story.
I know your story is so deep, and I hope that we're all able to touch upon those things today. How did you and your husband, Larry, how did you guys decide on real estate investing?
So we actually decided, he had actually lost his job in 2020 when COVID hit. He had just recovered from a open heart surgery and then was starting treatments for liver cancer, but lost his job. And I said, oh, well, we still need to try to figure out what we're going to do because he couldn't really work in corporate. So we started doing real estate investing. So we dug into that and started flipping. We flipped about 5 houses that first year. And then we just kept moving on from there and then really fell in love with the short-term rental piece. And Larry really loved the hosting part of short-term rentals.
So that's really interesting because while people are, when they're losing their jobs or they're not able to work, they stop themselves from spending. But you guys took a chance on yourselves.
Yeah, we did. We had some inheritance money that came our way. And so we invested it into real estate and took a chance on ourselves. I actually hired a coach at that time in the Austin area. Debbie DeBerry was her name. And so we started doing the flipping and really didn't know anything about short-term rentals at that time. But then the more we got into the flips in Galveston, realized, oh, we could really expand on this and help out our tax situation, because once you sell so many homes, you owe a lot of money. And so we started holding, and then really fell in love with the short-term rentals at that time. And now, we eventually wanted to get out of state and start investing more out of state. And I'm still working on that.
So walk me through, because, obviously this is the Midterm Rental Movement show. So you said that you got into short-term rentals, but you're on a midterm rental show. So tell me how you started pivoting.
So my very first short-term rental that we started in like November. Well, we know that Galveston's seasonal. And so when we went into that slower season, I ended up getting a 6-month booking off of furnished finders, basically, for some contractors coming into town. And I'm like, okay, I like this. And they were paying double my mortgage. And so I'm like, this is cool. So I really fell in love with the midterm space at that time. And because they extended once, and then I started booking short term. And so I actually moved them to another property for another couple of months. But it's just the maintenance is so much better to handle on the midterm rentals. It's just not go, go, go like the short-term rentals are. A mix of both now. So I really love my midterms because I can put them in there for, 60, 90 days at a time and never hear from them, and then keep running my short-term rentals at the same time.
That's amazing. So tell me about, I think a lot of people that are unfamiliar with the midterm rental model, they say a couple things. Some objections I hear is, I make more money on short-term rentals. Or the other objection could be, I don't want to deal with anyone staying for more than 28 days because they can squat. So walk me through those objections when you hear them.
First of all, I've never had any reservation about squatters coming in, because you're doing background checks. I mean, if you're doing it the right way, you're checking their identities, you're checking background, you're verifying all the things.
How do you handle someone saying you make more money in short-term rentals?
Oh, I don't necessarily think that's true, because on a midterm, I'm not buying all the consumables all the time. I'm not paying for cleaning all the time. I do require at least monthly cleanings on my midterms, but on a short-term rental, you've got cleaners going in there multiple times during the month, and you're also replenishing all your supplies multiple times a month. So even if it's a little bit lower in rent, I don't find it to be true that you're making a lot more money on short-term rental. I really like the midterm model because it's a little bit more than long-term rent, and maybe a little bit lower than short-term, but because of the hassle involved, to me, it's worth it.
That's amazing. And how many properties do you have right now that are short-term rentals compared to a midterm rental?
So I have 2 properties right now that are my own, but one of them has a main house and an apartment. So the apartment is a 2-2, it's about 1,000 square feet, and it's basically only been midterm in there. During December, I had a couple short term because we were in a little period where we didn't have a long-term guest in there. And then I'm also co-hosting another property that has a main house and an apartment. That apartment's a 1-1, and we have a contractor in there right now that's been there for 6 weeks. And I'm still working to get that one booked after he leaves. He's leaving in next week, so I'm still trying to get a longer term in there. So I've got 2 midterms right now, and then I've got 4 short terms that I'm managing.
Amazing. When it comes to lead time of guests, is there a difference between how your short-term rental guest book versus your midterm rental guest?
A little bit, but I'm finding it's last minute on pretty much both models right now. Even the short terms really are not booking that far out. They're booking maybe within 2 weeks, sometimes the same week on the short terms. And just yesterday, I've been working with a lady on Furnished Finder. She's been messaging me wanting to stay in my midterm. At first, she wanted 10 months, and now she's kind of backing off a little bit and going to 3 months, which is great. I'll do 3 months with, they may extend, but we're not sure. So, and that one, she's about a month out. So I'm glad that she's starting early so we can get all the things in place. But that's going to fill up my August, September, October for sure. But yeah, it just depends really on what they're coming in for.
So walk me through seasonality. Do you have any seasonality or like maybe even drop some gems for us? What is the secret to your midterm rental success, and how does it differ from short-term rentals?
For me, it's all about pricing, and I really dug deep into PriceLabs, and I really started diving into it. And I'm very conservative on my pricing, which keeps my rentals more full, I think, even in the off season. I've also added a lot more amenities, which helps keep my short-term rentals full. I've got some hot tubs. So in the off season, my rentals are staying more full, although I may not be charging as much as other folks in the area. In the slower seasons, I'm able to fill them up that way by just providing the amenities. And of course, the design matters. And then on my midterms, they just want a nice, comfortable place. And of course, mine are freshly designed. I take these homes and remodel them completely. They're full guts most of the time. And so I usually don't have any problems with them. And they're aesthetically, they're just nice and comfortable for them to stay in. And that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. When it comes to midterms, people want good quality furniture. They
Mhm.
want a really clean place.
Yep.
And the fancy, grass walls and the neon signs, are they as important?
No, they're not. Not in the midterm.
So do you have properties that balance and straddle both strategies, a short-term rental and midterm rental? How do you manage
So
that?
the ones I really want to be midterm, I'm setting those nightly minimums a little bit higher, just so I don't get those sneaky little one-nighters in there. And it happened to be on my one bedroom coming up in August. I'm like, oh man. So that it kind of messed me up a little bit. But if I have to move that one guest to one of my other rentals and just take a hit on my pricing, I'll do that just to get a long-term in there. I'm not afraid to do that. In regards to amenities and design and all that, for the short term and the midterm, I go nice on my midterm and comfortable, but my short terms, I really go all out. So there's a little bit of a difference on between the two for me, because I'm in such a competitive market. And we don't get a lot of midterm in Galveston, but I'm finding more and more are requesting stays through furnished finders. But I've gotten a lot from Airbnb as well, which I
What are the
prefer.
reasons why they come to Galveston for a midterm stay?
I've gotten medical students, physicians that are in residency. I've gotten nurses, a lot of contractors, actually. I've hosted a lot of contractors, and they do various things. Families that are relocating, the one that I'm talking to now, they're relocating, they're in the military, so they're relocating. So there's multiple ways to get midterm in the Galveston area.
If you've got a rental, whether it's short-term, midterm, or long-term, you need a solid insurance policy that's actually made for landlords. I use Steadily because it's fast, digital, and built for real estate investors just like us. No long phone calls, no back and forth, just a clean, modern way to get coverage. You can get a quote in under 2 minutes with Steadily.com. Again, that's Steadily.com, modern insurance for modern hosts. Check out the link below to get your quote today. Fantastic. I want to move into systems for a little bit because you did mention PriceLabs, you mentioned managing your calendar. Talk to me about what systems you have in place to help you run your business. Because I'm a systems person, so I always think that I don't know what I don't know. So I'd love to hear more about what you're doing to manage your business. Are you using any CRM system, any PMS system? Talk to me about that.
I have a PMS now. I am on that. I don't know what I don't know. I can learn a lot from you, I'm so sure. But I use Guesty for my PMS, on the hunt probably for another one soon. And then PriceLabs, of course. And then we connect to Resort Cleaning for my cleaners. It just keeps everything so cohesive that way. And then I'm on Furnished Finders for two of my properties right now. But really, that's all I'm doing right now. And then I usually do a lot of Facebook. I'm in a lot of groups. And then, just networking with other individuals in the area locally when they need a home or they can't serve a midterm guest, they'll message me and say, hey, do you have anything coming up available? And I've gotten a couple that way as well. But I know there's more systems out there, and that's what I'm looking for in the next few months, is to really ramp it up a little bit on my systems.
What do you think that's missing from Guesty? Because I know a lot of people use Guesty. Guesty's, from what I hear, I've never used it myself. I interviewed them in the past, but I chose to go with a different PMS. Just curious though, like you're on Guesty and moving to a new PMS, it's not an easy lift. So what
No.
is it that you think you're missing that you'd like more of, or that's going to fill the gaps in your business?
I think for me right now, it's pricing. Just because every co-host I bring on board, I'm putting on Guesty and I'm seeing that price just skyrocket. So I'm looking for something a little bit less expensive, but still has all the bells and whistles that Guesty's has, because I really like the messaging part. And I'll be honest with you, Vivian, I am not a tech savvy person. I had to learn a lot when Larry passed away just last year. And so I haven't really bought anything new, but it's been a challenge for me to technically, because like even PriceLabs, I struggled, but Guesty I've struggled a lot with, but their customer service is great. I mean, I can message them, email them, they're right on it. The only problem with that is like you can't get a hold of them on the phone. And that bothers me sometimes because I need to talk to somebody right then and I have to wait on them to respond through email. That's kind of the most missing piece, I think, is just the customer service. It's hard to reach, but there's a lot of Guesty that I don't know.
I think the whole know when to call at the time you need it is not unique to Guesty. Even the system that I use, you typically have to send an email and open a ticket.
Yeah.
It's just that the volume can come through pretty high. I've been through 3 different property management systems now over the last 6 years, and I can tell you that customer service piece feels to be the same across the board. Hopefully, with AI and everything that's happening, that a lot of them will start adapting maybe to some robot FAQs that can be answered quickly
Yeah.
and help you resolve some problems through machine learning capabilities.
Yeah, but I like
So,
that they integrate with my log system, and really they integrate with so much. It's been a really good system to be on. I'm just looking to reduce all my costs this year.
yes, for
Um,
sure. Can we talk about Larry's passing for a minute?
sure.
Because
Yes,
I,
I
I
have my
met
mom
Larry, was it 3 years ago? What a
in
standout guy he was.
Austin,
And he
Indiana.
passed, yes, at the STR Growth Summit. And he resonated with me. He's just his positive
Mhm.
nature about himself, just super friendly. And I wish I got to know him a little bit better, but he passed away very suddenly, right? Well, kind of suddenly. He was
Yes.
sick.
Yeah, I want to say shortly after that conference is when he started really declining. He had already had his liver transplant then. And I think it was that November that he ended up having leukemia. So he had gone through a liver transplant in October of 2022. And then he did fine for about 6 months after that. His blood work was still coming back. He was really weak. He had really low white blood cell counts. And so the liver doctors they were just trying to change his meds. They just thought it was medicine
Mm,
related. Finally, after 6 months and he's kept declining, they said, we don't know what else to do. We're going to send you back to hematology. So we went there and did all the tests, and they said, no, you have leukemia. So that was November 29th of 2023. And the very next day, they admitted us for chemo to the hospital. So we spent all of December of 2023 doing chemo, Christmas in the hospital. That was different. It was hard, but we got through it. We just did Christmas at the hospital. It was kind of cool to see us all come in with all of our gifts, all of our food. The whole family came. We brought the whole Christmas dinner to the hospital. And I'll tell you, that was one of the most precious times we ever had, because it was our last Christmas together. And we didn't know it at that time, but it was very special. And then he actually was in remission at the end of December. So they sent us home. But during that time, when he was having chemo, he developed an infection. And it was called a fusarium infection, which is a fungal infection, very serious. And he had a spot where he had his transplant done on his chest that got infected, and a spot on his foot. And so they had him on all the medicines. They sent us home, and then he got like 102 fever. And so I had to take him to the ER, and that was traumatic just because we were at a trauma hospital. And so we were in a Memorial Hermann in Houston, which is a trauma hospital. So we were right there where all the action was. And so 38 hours we spent in the ER. But throughout that time, that infection kept spreading through his body, and we couldn't get control of it. Could not. And then finally, when we thought he was getting better, we were waiting on a drug from Pfizer to come in. It was a new drug, and they said this is our only hope. And he was doing better at that time, but we were still waiting on the drug. They were starting to give him his blood thinner again because he had a mitral valve replacement in 2019, so he had to have a blood thinner. Well, all the medicines were working against each other. All the organs were working against each other. So they started giving him that blood thinner and it caused a brain bleed. And that's what ultimately took his life that day. So it was in February of 2024 that I lost him.
Wow. So it's just been over a little bit over a year now then, right? I think it's really powerful that despite losing your husband, you still have the legacy that you built with him. And you still
Very
get to
special.
carry that on, the hospitality part of it, as well as, building that wealth for you and your family. So I'm really proud of you because we're friends on Facebook
Mhm.
and I've been able to see you in person with Larry, and then of course the heartbreak of losing him. But
Yeah.
seeing you come back to life and keeping yourself busy and inspiring other people to be able to move past these hardships has been really powerful.
I really could not have done it without the people around me. I give kudos to my cleaners all the time, but I have the most amazing cleaners, the most amazing team. It's a husband-wife team, and they just take special care of me. And I've had other friends come along that have just, they've been beside me since he left and helped me through the technology, helped me through all the bookkeeping stuff, my own personal home. I mean, just people will come in and just give, give, give. And it is so special to have people around you that support you and get you through these times.
100%. It's the who, not the how. So I can't wait to see what your journey looks like. You're so powerful and nothing stops you. I love those kind of people. What
Mhm.
does 2025 and 2026 look like for you?
2025, I'm hoping to continue growing my co-host business on the side of just, owning my own right now. And then hopefully in the future, I'll keep buying and flipping. I'd love to flip more in the Houston area. I'd love some short-term rentals in Houston, actually not in Galveston, in the near future. And I'm working towards that goal, but also I'm looking to invest out of state. I'd love to be able to travel with my family out of state to short-term rentals that we own. That is another goal that we have. So we're working on that.
That's amazing. I flip houses with my husband as well, and I know the value of having a sounding board
Mhm.
alongside with you, someone to just check your assumptions, check your gut feelings, and you don't have that anymore. So I'm really happy to hear that you have a community that you're able to surround yourself with and have them as a sounding board to help you. I
Yes.
don't have the guts to invest out of state just yet, but definitely I had a conversation with one of my students who is telling me that Phoenix is a great place to invest, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
ooh, try not to have that FOMO. So but I'm really proud of how far you've come, and I can't wait to see how far you go in the future. Thank you for
Well,
being a guest today. Is there
thank you for
any
having me.
words of wisdom or a book that you want to share with our audience that has inspired you?
Honestly, who not how did inspire me, because I'm a person who does a lot of things by myself, and it's that control thing, but I have been getting through that. But not only that, I've been reading a lot of on the mindset piece, and that's really what's gotten me through a lot of this is just working on myself, self-care, keeping my mind right, and just relying on other people to help me get through it all.
Amazing. Who Know How's also one of my favorite books. I read it in January 2023, changed my life and continues to change my life. So thank you for sharing that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Sharon Pace, and you've been with us through the Midterm Rental Movement podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome to the ARC Watchtower. Do you know what the major online travel platforms actually cover? Most hosts don't until it's too late. Payout delays, denied claims, and no protection for direct bookings, midterm stays, or reverse arbitrage setups. That's why there's ARC Watchtower, with up to $50,000 in damage protection and $1 million in liability coverage for every stay on every platform. It's automated, platform agnostic, and built for today's operators, from short-term hosts to midterm rental pros and reverse arbitrage managers placing insurance or corporate guests. Sign up today in 60 seconds. No forms, no gaps, just real protection.